Hello and welcome. We thought about becoming a space whale and we asked ourselves, what is the qualification to become a space whale and what is the criteria to be qualified as a space whale? What is the definition of a space whale when it comes to Star Citizen? If you have the source for the definition, put it down in the comment section. We want to have a check on that. But what we want to is to show you how to get an Anvil Paladin for basically 189 IRL or a little bit less than it is on the list. The main cause or the main reason why we want to put out this video, not to justify our space whaling, it's much rather our main drive why we do what we do, right? So we do not need to have an understanding. We also do not need to have a confirmation or a validation from outside. Yeah, we are grown-ups, we have some money, we can spend some money, and we are totally aware of what else we could do with the money we put into this project called Star Citizen. And a lot of people would shake their heads, how can you do that? And we also do that. We also shake our heads, why can you do that? But we do. Yeah, that is the thing. So let's have a check on our hangar, how it looks like today. Yeah, a few days afterwards. Few days means 3 days. How does our hangar look like 3 days after we recorded the previous video that you may have seen yesterday or 2 days ago or whatnot? So we have the sheaths, 2 times sheaths, but you can see here one sheath is a Paladin that has lifetime insurance. Interestingly, it also have 120-month insurance, and this might be the change how CIG and Robot Space Industries actually will gonna go scamming the player base. Yeah, because when we look at this, we have lifetime on the Wolf, right? And here it is listed as the Sheath has lifetime and the Paladin has 112. Let's go down to this one. Now we also figured out why the 325A has 10 years insurance, and the reason why it is we pledged for it during IAE last year. And that's why we have 10 years. And we assume that when you are up to pledging some sort of a ship during IAE, it might be that you will have 10 years insurance on that ship, like we had. So it doesn't really matter if Asgard also had 10 years. And the problem here is when we see the visual, right? When we see the visual of that, we have a ship, the ship, lifetime, ship, 10 years. And when we see it here, we have ship, 10 years, ship, nothing. So what does that tell us? Are CIG scamming the pledgers based on not really define or put some loopholes, yeah, legal loopholes into the pledging stuff? we will gonna have a check on that, not today, not next week, but we will have a check on that, because that was our main, it's not main, it was some sort of a side hustle to figure out if and how Robot Space Industries is scamming. Yeah, that was a mission. Well, it's still a mission. We want to find out. All right, and here we also have the vehicle and the insurance. So how much money would you spend if you would upgrade the Paladin to the Paladin? You can upgrade from the Sheath to the Paladin, and only, yeah, we're still talking about virtual spaceships. Only 190 IRL for a virtual spaceship. And you may think, oh wait, let's put it that way. Yeah, 150 is the ship value, minus 190 would be, we would have saved 160. No, you wouldn't have saved 160 because you pledged 145 while it is Warbond 145. So you could save up 15 IRL to get the Paladin, and that would mean you will go for the cheaper, of course, but you need to have to spend money into this project in order to pledge an additional 190 to get the Paladin with lifetime insurance, at least we assume. And the main problem that we figured is, as soon as we did that, we didn't read this fine printing, because it might be that they changed TOS. Yeah, we read the TOS, that wasn't that long ago, but we do not notice when they change something. And even if they do, and that usually all they do, all these motherfuckers change their terms of service afterwards. And with afterwards, we mean when you have some sort of a financial invest into this project, they will change it afterwards somehow. And you still have the legal obligation to make a decision, do you want to continue using the service or not? And sometimes when you are some sort of depending on it, then it is not that easy to let go of this service. And the issue with that is common business practice right now. So even if Robert Space Industries and CIG would go on the same train like every other business does, it wouldn't be considered a scam because it's just business practice, right? All right. So like we said, it's unprepared, but we will have a check on, because we need to ask our friends how their account looked like when they do upgrade. We noticed that when we go on ship upgrade here, let's say Chief again, this is actually what we did. We have pledged for the Paladin exactly like this. We did it like this. And so when we choose here, right, we choose the Warbond Edition Paladin with 10 years. We selected that. What would happen if we would have selected this one? We don't have the money to find that out, but here we have no information about insurance. And for CIG, would it make sense, or Robert Space Industries rather, it would make sense that they fool or scam the pledgers by saying, if you would have read, you have pledged for the Paladin with 10 years insurance, and that's why you spent less. You could have pledged for this one and you would have spent 216, or in our case we would have 116 plus 145. We still would have yeah, we would have pledged 361 instead of the Warbond price that it is right out now. But the Warbond price out now is 10 years. So it looks like as if there is absolutely no other way to get the Paladin with lifetime insurance, unless you spend even more money onto it. Is that scamming? But this is what we noticed. All right, continue. We love the drama that happens around Star Citizen. And we watched Luke Evans' stuff, and he's sane. And when you go into the comments, yeah, we do not watch the video. We haven't watched it yet, but when we scroll down through the comments, you really can identify who is into Star Citizen, not calling it a cult, but you see a defensive attitude from some of the commenter. And you also see like two parties, yeah, they argue, and as soon as you are able to distinguish between what's real and what is fiction, then you are not confused anymore. All right, so this is a program for tonight we want to listen to, and when we are from the Shillers, influencers, YouTubers and content creator, Space Tomato is one of the guy we listen to every now and then to what he has to offer. But he's a dreamer, a space dreamer, and Roberts is also a space dreamer, and that is his pitching video. And so everybody that is involved in this project, it doesn't matter if you're an employee of Robert Space Industries, CIG and whatnot, you are basically sharing his dream, and you try to make his dream manifested in the form of an online service. And when we pledge IRL money into this project, we also participating in Christ Robert's dream. But not only that, we also have our own space dream based on what we experienced so far, right? And that's why we're talking about the Ironclad. The Ironclad is on the list because we have a certain idea of how we can utilize the Ironclad, what kind of gameplay we want to have with the Ironclad, and what we want to do or achieve at the end, or not at the end, but during the journey inside the verse. We already have something in our mind. And that is basically not the illusion, but it might be rather our space dream, isn't it? Isn't it our space dream that we dream about, we fantasize about what we can do with this kind of ship, and then when as soon as it's out there, yes, we can do it. Isn't that the thing that we are actually doing? There are three major things where people spend money on: kids, pets, and dreams. And it is so that the American dream is I don't know what the American dream is, but in Switzerland, the Swiss dream is having a house, yeah, not a flat, a house, owning a house having a wife, 2 kids, or a man, husband, for whatever, 2 kids, a pet, and 2 cars. And so you spend a lot of money to have that certain dreams. And that's just to acknowledge, yeah? It's not just judging in any shape or form. But yeah, he's one in our list we watch quite some time. And as you can see, we most likely only have YouTubers, content creators that are somehow involved in Star Citizen. Normal citizens, we are deeply connected with the heart to him based on what he's publishing on his YouTube channel, because he overthinks. Yeah, and we tend to overthink as well. But the thought process that goes into it, that is really interesting. And a lot of people, this is some sort of a recommendation, a lot of people should think more by themselves. Not guided or whatnot, just think for themselves critically. Another one thing is the Red's Resort. He's also a dreamer, but he has a tendency of seeing it a little bit, but ignoring it. Yeah, Red J, no idea why we have Red J here, but yeah. PGR, an influencer, Shiller. He also has space dreams, and we know that we are talking about a lot of stuff, especially in our live streams. And the reason why we do not have views on our stuff is primarily because the form factor we deliver is not storytelling. It's rather rambling. And all these content creators have a certain skill level of telling stories. Are you not entertained? Aren't we watching all this stuff because we want to be entertained? And once you have acknowledged that for yourself, do you want to be entertained? And am I entertained when I watch all this stuff? And once you get that, then your perception changes a little bit, because you are now all of a sudden aware of what's going on with you. In marketing, when you do marketing one-on-one, the very first lesson the very first lesson in marketing is AIDA. It's some sort of not a ship, but it is let's put it in marketing. Yeah, Google. Why do we have Google as search engine? AIDA, the AIDA model. Yeah, Google translates to German for whatever reason. It's basically like this, yeah, visually. The attention. All these Shillers do some sort of attention, make you aware of something. And that is exactly how we came to Star Citizen. We watched some YouTubers like Salty Mike, and he was somewhat arguing about comparing Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen. And his main argument was, in Elite Dangerous you cannot exit the pilot seat and walk around in your ship or outside of the ship. As we can remember, that was 1.5 years ago. But in Star Citizen you can. And we thought for ourselves, yes, we do not want to be bound on a chair on a virtual spaceship. We want to have a little bit more actionable, more immersiveness. So a point for Star Citizen. So do we get an attention? Yeah, we got the attention of Star Citizen, because our question was, what games out there are most demanding? And first of all, Cyberpunk. And the second was Star Citizen. So we built our computer to suit the requirements for those 2 games. And the argument from Salty Mike back then was, walk around. Yeah, we want to walk around. So a point for Star Citizen. So that was the intention. So, but that wasn't enough. Yeah, Salty Mike wasn't enough to raise the interest enough to get into Star Citizen. So what was the interest? The interest of Star Citizen was, and we expose ourselves here, we had a certain vision, a certain dream, a certain illusion of our gameplay inside the verse. Yeah, we came with that particular idea. And so we hopped in, we had the computer, we had the attention, and we had the interest of, no, it rose to a desire. We want to have that. So we ordered the computer, we built the computer, we installed the launcher and all the stuff. And then we started the very first time Star Citizen. And guess where? Guess where was our primary residence? Fucking New Babbage. And why? Because of the Shillers, the influencer. Just because of that. But then we figured New Babbage is the wrong place for us, because it doesn't satisfy us. Weak performance, lagging and whatnot. But yeah, so here we are. We did the action, yeah, we pledged for a starter ship. As you could see, it was the Mustang, and there is no gameplay for the Mustang, and we are not really we haven't been and never will be, well, never say never, but we are not into space combat and whatnot. So this is the action, right? And this is something what the CIG also use or utilizing the influencer marketing is the term over that. And you can be easily disqualified as an influencer or a shiller for robot space industries and cloud imperium games as soon as you say something that is too honest, too direct, and brings stuff on the point nobody can deny, even though you can try to deny it, but the fact is there. And we are definitely no shiller, definitely not, although we talk a lot of Star Citizen. And when we get asked, what video games do you play? Yeah, that was a question Luke Stevens asked Space Tomato. What games do you play lately? And the only one answer that we could say is we do not play video games. We play Star Citizen only. And the reason why we do not want to play another video game is because of Star Citizen. First of all, because nothing else is out there. And how can we say that nothing else is out there when you do not play video games? Yeah, well, good question. But it took a lot of effort to learn the mechanics of Star Citizen, and we would say we're still learning because ever changing, but it took a lot of effort, and we do not play video games. We do not have the time, the will, the desire, nor the interest of learning another video game. So simple is that. And here, AIDA. Our AIDA model is a model within the class known as hierarchy of effects models action. So the consumer, we consume, or we are consumed. Attention, the consumer becomes aware of a category, product, or brand. Yes, Star Citizen, virtual spaceships, we want to go to space like Elon Musk. Ooh. Interest, consumer becomes interested by learning about brand benefits, how the brand fits with lifestyle. Yeah, and that is the thing. A lot of people who playing Star Citizen are dreamers, space dreamers, like Christ Roberts. And that is something that you can be aware of, that you are a dreamer. Elon Musk is going to the Mars. No. And once you noticed how the game actually works, we are in. That's why we're referring IRL in the same context as Star Citizen or the verse, because it's an illusion. It's just a fake. And don't get me wrong, we do not talk about simulation theory or whatnot. As soon as you are able to distinguish what is real and what is not, you are not confused anymore. Then you are more present ever than before, mentally. Once you become a YouTuber, an influencer, or whatnot, you need to have the attention of the consumers. If you do not have that, you are gone. The reason why a lot of people do not like the truth is you cannot change it. The only one thing that you can change is your perception of the truth. And there is where the lie begins. And you lie to yourself at the beginning, at the very first. And then you can try to convince other people. That is the labeling, yeah? Calling me Space Whale is a labeling, and you put the label on my forehead. And who can read the label? Yeah, you, because you put the label onto my forehead. And that is not enough. You need to finger point and say, yeah, he's a space whale. Yeah, this is just an example how the stuff works. And the game the influencers are in is attention game. Christ Roberts as well. As soon as absolutely nobody talks about Star Citizen anymore, Star Citizen is done. And so also bad marketing is good marketing, because marketing needs attention. And that's why Trump still has attention. Putin still has attention. And that's why they can do what they do. And if you're interested in a little bit more than just having the attention of, oh, there is a video game. When you are interested in, you start becoming involved, primarily mentally, and here eventually financially. Then the desire, we definitely don't increase the desire of coming back to our channel, nor do we get people put into action, subscribe to it. Yeah, by the way, like and subscribe. And we want to watch this video for entertaining purpose. Going back.
Hi there, I'm Scooter only scooter from the beautiful Brio's Breaker Yard on Damer. Now, some people think Brio's is still a rough and tumble kind of place, but that just ain't true, Bo. Brio's is a safe environment with fun for the whole family. And we don't just sell gently used spaceships, we also do ship repairs, ship detailing, ship paints, and even weapon swaps. So when you need your next ship upgrade, you come on down and you tell Scooter sent you. Y'all have a good evening.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking awesome. If you come from a filmmaking perspective, this is a one-taker. There is no cut in there. It's a one-taker. And you can count how many players are involved in that 30-second clip. First of all, there is the main character, yeah? Scooter. Then here we have 2 players running. There are 2 other, so 5. And then we see here another one, 6. One was, or we assume, a pilot in the Intrepid up there. 7. 8, the driver of the Cyclone. 9, the one with the railgun exploding the ship and the vehicle. And then here, Harold or Hall A, no idea, and the F7 pilot. So 10, 11 people involved for this absolutely amazing piece of artwork within the engine of Star Citizen. Yeah, it is amazing. It's a masterpiece. This coordination, I mean, how much effort, how much training they had to pull that off. It is amazing. And that is another aspect why we like Star Citizen. We do not do much gameplay. We are still cleaning the house, basically part 5, because we have some boxes here at Arbitrary. But this is not the point what we are into in this video. We want to show you how we try to keep our ship fleet small. As you could see in the hangar, we have now 2 chiefs, or let's say 1 chief, 1 paladin, 2 wolves, the 380, which is an Asgard, and the poles, 6. We have 6 things. We have no problem with getting rid of the poles to have 5, and getting rid of one of the wolves. Yeah, that would be then an ironclad. So, but when we are here at the ASUS terminal, we need to scroll once. We have the Redeemer. This is something that we didn't consider when we pledged the Paladin, that it will come with a loaner, and now we have the loaner here. Then the Asgard, of course, we have the Mole bought in-game, the Crusader, the upgraded Mustang, we have the 2 Wolves pledged IRL, M50 bought in-game, the Aurora. No idea why we have an Aurora. The Aurora is better than the Mustang. It gives you a little bit more option than the Mustang, but we certainly didn't buy the Aurora in-game, and we also didn't pledge for it. As you could see, we didn't pledge. And the Taurus we bought in-game. So where did the Aurora come from? And we assume it would be a loaner like the Redeemer, and we figured it out where the Aurora came from. The Aurora came from the Pulse. The Poles, or rather said the MTC, or maybe both, they had the Aurora as not a loaner, but as a second ship. And this is really interesting. You could pledge for the Mustang for 45-ish. 45. Then you have the game package and the Mustang. What you also can do is you could upgrade the Mustang to the MTC, spend another $5, and you will get, that was our ship. Yeah, you can spend additional 5 IRL to get the MTC, the ground vehicle, and get the Aurora. And so you get basically the Aurora for 50 plus have an MTC. 2 vehicles, why not? So the reason why we are in the hangar, we want to show you the ship fleet inside the hangar. We are in a medium hangar right now. If we would have a large ship, it would have been shown in the terminal below. So here we have the Redeemer, as we said, the Asgard. What we also have is the Atlas, bought in-game, the Atlas Geo, bought in-game, the Mole, bought in-game, Intrepid, upgraded Wolf, then the Wolf, upgraded the Mustang, the Wolves, the Pulse we pledged for in-game, byproduct of the Pulse, in-game. But here we need to almost 3 times scrolling. And that is something that we haven't been aware when we came with the Redeemer. And we also need to be aware of, I mean, that was the main reason why we even came to the Liberator, because we wanted to have the M2. Yeah, we had been looking to the M2. And when we get the Ironclad, we also get the Caterpillar as a loaner, which is not good. But when we go into the pledge store, when we go to the ships and type in M2, first of all, the M2 is not available right now. It might be available at Crusader Days, IAE, but it costs $520. It's a lot of shit. It's a lot of money for a virtual spaceship. And when you see the Paladin for $350, it's not that far away, right? But you need to be constantly aware that you pledge virtual spaceship. So when we go to the Liberator is 55 more expensive. With 55 you can pledge a Mustang. When we spend 55 more, we will get in the ship loaner matrix, we will get the M2 plus the 7C as a loaner. And as long as early access, they will remain, even though the Liberator is out. And it's not us that can verify, everybody can verify. If you pledged for a ship that is not out yet, you will get a loaner. As soon as the ship is out, do you still have the loaner? If you still have the loaner remains. And so we will have 2 additional ships when we pledge for the Liberator, but when we spend $50 more, 575 IRL, when we spend that, we pledge for 1 virtual ship, but we become 2. And the main difference is, what we also get is, with the $50 more, we get a new ship. The M2 is an old ship, and we do not pledge 520 for an old ship, even though they did a rework on it. But yeah, it's not. So let us know, what is the definition of space whale? Well, yeah, Google. How should Google know that?